Hello, and welcome to episode 92 of the Focus on Gaming podcast. My name is Duncan,
I'm Tom.
and today we're joined by an author of a new book, Tommy Keough. Welcome, Tommy.
Welcome.
Good evening. How are we?
Very good.
Doing well. Doing well.
And so, well, shall we just, before we talk about it later, your book is about handheld gaming, yes?
It is indeed.
Do you want to give us the title and a brief synopsis?
Yes, well, it's quite a title. It is The History of Handheld Games Consoles. So try and say that really fast when you're drunk.
We're a big pusher for handheld gaming here. Love it. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
Another bit of retro gaming. So essentially what we look at, what I've written about is the history of handheld gaming. From my perspective, what I think were the most kind of influential handhelds throughout history, starting with quite an obvious one. And what I do is I look at the top 10 handheld consoles. I break down their specs, I break down their sales and all that kind of stuff, and then put together what I think were the top 10 games for each of those consoles, which will be very subjective, obviously. But obviously there'll be certain things on certain consoles which have to be in there. And then obviously kind of looking at where I think the future of handheld gaming goes and things, all that kind of stuff.
So, you're a big gamer then?
I am a very, very big gamer. I am indeed. I've got a Final Fantasy VII sleeve all up my arm there.
Oh, wow. Is it? I'm guessing that's an original Final Fantasy, is it?
It is original Final Fantasy VII,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you got the Lego characters.
Yes, Cloud looks very blocky.
Oh, yes. Oh, it's iconic, though. It's some iconic graphics. Beautiful. Yeah, I've just recently got a tattoo myself. It's got my little boy's name, but I've got the Manic Miner guy on
nice.
top of it. Because I wanted something gaming associated with it. So, yes, I've now got the Manic Miner guy tattooed on my arm. But so what have you been playing recently?
What have I been playing? Do you know what I've been playing, actually? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, the asymmetrical... I do enjoy a bit of an asymmetrical game. So I love my story games. I love single-player games. I'm very accommodating for all games. But I do have a sweet spot for those asymmetrical. There's just something about it for me personally. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. But...
Dead by Daylight.
Yes.
What was it? Friday the 13th.
Yeah, Friday the 13th, the buggy mess. It was amazing. So Dead by Daylight, I only started, which has been out since 2016. I only started playing in October 22, and I have got about 1,400 hours on it.
Wow!
That's a fair amount.
So I've been playing that, and also I've jumped back into Minecraft. Everybody seems to be jumping on that again, obviously because of the movie, which I haven't seen, and I probably won't see. But I do enjoy a bit of light-hearted survival.
Relaxing. Yeah.
Do you have kids?
I don't have kids.
Well, yeah. I mean, I went to say I've got a 7-year-old, so he was desperate to see the movie. Absolutely desperate. And now I saw the Super Mario movie with him, and I quite enjoyed that. I thought
that was a good one.
That was great. Wasn't quite as it's not as sort of all ages. The Minecraft movie is not as all ages. Right. It is more of a kids movie, I think. There is the odd adult joke in there, but I
think the Mario film and Sonic as well, because of their origins, 80s, 90s, they tap into a lot more of that kind of adult humor. They know that there's going to be dads taking their kids to see it,
Nostalgia.
I'm of that age. If I did have children, then, the Sonic and Mario movies are for me,
And they're now working on a Zelda movie as well, so that's another one that's coming.
So, let's. It's one of those ones where if they get it wrong, that's it. Oh, they're going to be destroyed.
I enjoyed the Mario movie. The Minecraft movie for me. If it wasn't for Jack Black, who practically saved the movie, I would have. It would have been over for me.
I don't know. It just, there was moments, but. The typical Jack Black moments just felt shoehorned in. They were like, "Oh, we got Jack Black. We might as well make him sing." We got Jack Black. We might as well make him do the sort of thing in front of his face when he, draws down his face a few times and make him shout like this. Yeah, I don't know. And I like Jack Black. I do like Jack Black, but yeah, no, it didn't really gel with me. But kids, my 7-year-old, best movie ever. Absolutely.
Well,
Still
and that's
goes on
what
about it.
matters, right? That is what matters. So as well as Minecraft and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I really want to tap into some story-based games, but I'm so busy at the moment. I don't have time to go. This is why I need those short bursts, right? A 15-minute game of DVD or Texas Chainsaw. I can't at the moment. I just don't have the time to sit down and get absorbed completely into something, because I will, and then I won't do my work, and then I'll get in trouble.
Was that the Texas Chainsaw game that came on the PlayStation Plus?
Yes. So
Yeah.
it was on my radar since it came out, but I just never got around to getting it. And then I was like, oh my god, it's there! And the RoboCop game. I'm not sure if you played that.
I have.
I've got that on a handheld. I play it on Steam Deck.
Oh, nice. So again, that's on this month's PlayStation Plus. I already got that, and so I've started that.
Again, that's a
the
nostalgia
VR. Have you got the VR headset?
I've got PSVR 2, yes.
Right. It's not VR compatible, as far as I'm aware. I may be wrong. I'm sure someone in our comments will correct me. But playing it on VR is much better.
Okay. So you just make me feel like RoboCop. I am out.
Yeah. The only annoying thing is you couldn't mess about with the controls. So I felt the controls they're not where I wanted them to be. And I looked into whether you can edit the controls, and on the PlayStation you can't. You can. There's 2 set controls, but I think on Steam Deck you can.
Steam Deck, it has a system level control changing, so you could, doesn't matter if they haven't got it in game, you can change anything to anything. You can have left trigger on A button, do whatever, and then you got gyroscope, and then you got the trackpads and all sorts. So you can customize everything to your heart. It's beautiful.
Oh, John, sorry, I'm carrying on with your same question. I'm so sorry. This is how crazy I am with my games. I'm also playing DayZ on my laptop. I enjoy a bit of survival.
See, that's a time sink as well.
This is what I mean, man. I'm meant to be working, but apparently not. It's research for books.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah,
that's the one.
Definitely.
Research. What else? There was something else. I was like, I need to tell them I'm playing that. But it's escaped me right now. But I play everything. And I've got my little emulators. I've got Steam Deck as well, but I've also got a small little emulator, the ones...
I've got an Anbernic RG35 XXH. I've got the horizontal one.
Yeah, that might be exactly the same one I've got. It's quite small and compact and quite
it's rectangular.
Yeah, and I've got the logo.
Mine isn't metal. Mine's purple plastic. I was quite pleased because I bought it at launch, and so direct from Anbernic, and they of course come all the way from China, and 2 came. I got delivered. I was all really excited because I bought it for my son for his birthday last year, and then half an hour later, the same Royal Mail guy comes. Ding dong, hello, got another package for you. Oh, have it? Open it up. Second one. Right, all right.
Wow.
They sent 2, so I have one.
He's an honest chap, you can tell. I
tell you what, Minecraft, more than it's worth to send it all the way back to China.
Well, there is that, yeah. So. My son and I both play Minecraft together, and there is a survival pack where you're in a city and you have to avoid the zombies, collect the food, things like that. Nice. Very much like the PlayStation game you're playing. But it is fantastic, and we've spent about 6 years playing it. So, as you can imagine, we've built up quite a game. So, yeah.
Well, my boy cannot comprehend that I've got worlds that are older than him in Minecraft. I'm like, oh yeah, did that when on the Xbox 360 when that first came out. I said, I've just transferred it up each level. I said, I haven't had an Xbox 360 since 2013. So, and he's like, but has it what? It blows his mind. But no, I love Minecraft. But well, that's quite a lot that you've got on your hand. Working, DayZ, Texas Chainsaw Massacre with 1,400 out. No,
the DVD with 1,400.
Dead by Daylight, 1,400.
Oh, also Apex Legends. Oh God, so many. This is what it's like having an ADHD brain. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, at least with handhelds, like you obviously like now as well. I love the fact that because I have kids and wife and everything, I can just sit in bed when they're all asleep, or you play on the toilet as well.
I was about to say, just disappear for an hour.
Yeah, that's the one.
It's
the
the new newspaper under the armpit, isn't it?
That's it. What are you doing up there? Nothing. Just completing Super Mario Land. So, I'm intrigued because I'm a massive Game Boy Original fan. Okay, that's one of my favourites next to the Super Nintendo and the Amstrad CPC. What are your top 3 games on the Game Boy Original?
Top 3 games of the Game Boy Original. Okay, so Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins, got to be in there. So good. One that I think may be quite, not controversial, but not many people know it. So it's Terminator 2 Judgment Day. There's 2. There's T2, the arcade game.
That's right.
Kind of like which on the Game Boy unfortunately wasn't very good. And then there was a platformer. And I think the reason that's got such a special place in my heart was that was the game that I got with my Game Boy when I was about 8 or 9. So Game Boy came out in 89. I've just turned 40. So early mid 90s, I got a Game Boy, and that was with it. And I played that game so much that I was banned from playing my Game Boy before school because I wouldn't get ready. I'd wake up and I'd be like, I've got to play Terminator 2. And I played it again recently, and you can complete it in about 15-20 minutes if you know exactly what you're doing.
I was playing it Thursday.
Wait, it's a great game.
Great game.
The hardest level was the one where obviously you're rewiring the Terminator.
Oh yes, it's the one with it's mini games as well as platforming, I want to say.
Yeah, so it's platform. You start with Sarah Connor, and then there's a couple of levels of that, and then you go into, you've got to rewire the Terminator's brain, and then you're John Connor and the T-800 on the bike, and then it's just pretty cool.
It's great.
So, but a third one, that's a good choice. No, not a good choice. A good question. What is a good choice? Do you know what? This isn't it, but it's just popped into my mind. I used to love Alfred Chicken.
Oh my god,
that's one of
Alfred Chicken. Do you remember that? And I had Mortal Kombat 2 on the Game Boy, which again, not fantastic, but again, more nostalgia for me.
The fact that they managed to get the graphics to where they did, with the digitized characters and things like that, was amazing on the Game Boy. So
6 golden coins, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and what are we going to say? I can't be bored and say Tetris, can I? I mean, it's a great game, but probably, do you know what? Super Mario Land or Legend of Zelda.
Legend of Zelda, fantastic. Yeah.
Let's have that. We've already got one Mario.
I think me and Tom disagree about many things, but one thing we both agreed with, I think, and unfortunately we're going to go against you here. Neither of us liked Super Mario Land 2.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. I just have memories.
My book, and it's just landed on that page, and right next to it is Legend of Zelda. So.
Oh wow.
See, the 2, I just felt that they tried to make it pretty, and the thing is, I think compared to Super Mario Land 1, it was not very good. But I think as a game by itself, yes, it's great. But Super Mario Land 1, they just that was a launch title. That was and it was just so perfectly done. I remember having.
And it wasn't a Mario team either; it was outsourced, wasn't it? So it was the only a Mario game, apart from Wacky Worlds, that was done outside of the usual Mario team. So, and obviously brought back in-house again for the sequel. So,
but my second favorite after the Super Mario Land was only because I owned it and it was actually not a great platformer. It was Bart versus at Camp Mutant
Space Mutants.
No, it was the Camp Deadly or something.
Camp Krusty.
Yes, I had that, and it was so hard.
It was. Oh my god! And you had to start the whole thing again if you lost all your lives. There was no level select or anything like that. No, you had to start the whole game, and it was. you had to be pixel perfect, and he jumped. The jump was awful. But the graphics, it looked like Simpsons. So
It did.
the 10-year-old me was like, "Yay, Simpsons!"
Interesting story about both Terminator and the Simpsons games, but it was the Space Mutants games, not the one you mentioned. My first machine I ever had was an Amstrad CPC 464 with a green screen, I might add.
Yeah.
And if you try and do the level where you're reconstructing the Terminator's face or the wrist mechanics, and the Simpsons where you're trying to find the homework that's floating in the air, on the green screen you can't see either. So I spent many hours trying to solve both games and failing miserably. It was many years later when I actually got a coloured screen as part of my collection that I was like, oh wow, I can complete these games. So yeah, I'm very much in line with your Terminator difficulties, hard levels.
They are tough. In fact, I love my Game Boy so much that for my 10th birthday, my mum made me a Game Boy cake, and it was so you know when you just remember a cake from your childhood, and you're like, that's the one.
Yeah.
My 10th birthday, Game Boy cake. Lovely.
Oh, we now love your mum. So
all my mum used to do was she tried Tetris once and was like, "Oh, this is quite good." My mum and dad hated gaming; they didn't game at all. She tried Tetris once and quite liked it. So that whenever I was in trouble from then on, we're taking your Game Boy off you. And then the one night I'm sitting in bed, which is the bedroom's next to my mum and dad's, and I hear bling, ding, 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 ding. Oh, stop! And she's turning it down. She tried to look for the volume. And
I still do that on my son's Steam Deck. So Mickey Mouse Castle of Illusion, the remake, sitting there playing that.
Luckily, my dad bought my mum an LCD Tetris, so funnily enough, I didn't get told off as much after that.
There you go. You were ignored instead.
Oh, well,
So what was the influence for your book? Obviously, you have a love of gaming, but what made you write a book about handheld gaming?
So I need to go back a few years, if that's okay.
Okay.
So I've been writing for 10, 11 years probably, but I actually started doing fantasy stories, and I self-published a few fantasy stories, and they did okay. And then, do you remember 2020 when that horrendous thing happened and we all had to stay inside? That was a good time.
Yeah, that was fun.
So at that point, I was working for my stepdad in this house that I'm in at the moment. I'm house sitting, by the way. And I got furloughed, so I don't like sitting around doing nothing. So I was like, I'm going to write a book. As you do. And
why not?
I actually wrote a book called Gamertag Stories, which is so I've got my Instagram Gamertag Stories doing really well. That actually, it's essentially we all pick a username for online or offline, and some of them are hilarious, some of them are quite sincere, some of them make no sense at all. And it's like, what's the story behind that? Why did that person come up with that name? And I looked and I was like, nobody's written a book about this. Nobody's actually written a book about why the gamer tags you chose. So I got in touch with gamers all over the world, and I got them to submit their stories, and I put them all in a book, and then I've shared some history with it as well. And that kind of started me down.
Really good idea.
Yeah. Thank you, man. I'm looking to turn it into a series, to be honest. I've got a lot more who've already submitted to part 2, and I'm hoping that the publisher might pick this up rather than having to self-release it, but it's something that hadn't been done and hasn't been done since. So it's quite a unique thing, and I've made a lot of good friends from that book. And so then I was like, right, I'm in this gaming world now. I mean, I'm a huge gamer anyway. I've been gaming for 30 years, like lots of us. And I was like, okay, what's next? And I was like, oh man, I love my Game Boy, and I love my Game Gear, and I love my Steam Deck. And again, it just kind of came from that. Nostalgia is a powerful tool, powerful thing for all of us. So I love gaming on all levels. I think, obviously, there's a lot of greed in gaming now as well. But if you look back at some games without the nostalgia, they are pants. Gaming has got better, but there are still some phenomenal games. Phenomenal games. So why not take a look at how the handheld progressed over the last 36 years, because I started with the Game Boy. I know there was like the Microvision and a few other things prior to that, which I do mention very briefly in the book. But again, I wanted to focus on the kind of top 10, just so you know ahead of time. So my top 10 or what's focused on in the book is, let's see if we can all probably guess it quite easy: Game Boy, Game Gear, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advanced. So in chronological order as well: Game Boy Advanced, PSP, 2DS, 3DS, PS Vita, Switch, Steam Deck. Because obviously they're hybrids these days, right? You've gone from, and this is the whole point, obviously, so at the end of the book as well, I kind of go, well, where does it go from here? Look where we started with that little grey box, which was phenomenal and holds such a special place in lots of our hearts. To where we are now with the Steam Deck, what you can play AAA games like. What? Imagine us seeing that at 10 years old. I think sometimes, kids are born into it now, so maybe they don't appreciate it as much, but maybe in 30 years they will, because obviously think of the advancements in 30 years, right? So anyway, it all kind of came from that, and then I kind of went to the publisher, and I was very, very lucky that I got myself a publishing deal. I've actually got 2 more with them, so there's 2 more books coming, so that's quite exciting.
We'll keep
one next year and one the following year.
More gaming handhelds?
The next book is actually the history of Resident Evil.
Exciting.
The entire franchise, but also board games, films, everything, like the whole kind of. But it's the 30th anniversary.
The good and the bad.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I'm not going to be kind.
It's definitely a rabbit hole.
Massively. So that's out next year to coincide with the 30th anniversary. I managed to get some quite well-known people to be in that book. I'm really proud of that. And for me, Resident Evil is a huge part of my life. And then the following book for 2027 is the history and influence of Final Fantasy VII.
Fantastic.
So just on Final Fantasy VII. I hope that was good because it's all tattooed on my arm. So
it was such a big part of my. I was 19 when it came out and living on my own in a shared house. And I remember just I had friends coming into my room in the shared house just to look at it and be like, "Oh wow!" because of the cutscenes and all that. And just the fact that going back to handhelds now, that I could play that on my phone. And it's just brilliant. This was such. But I still remember I played for about 75 hours. Bloody PlayStation 1. I had a third-party memory card.
Oh dear.
Yeah, 75 hours. Didn't work.
Lesson learned.
But it meant that the next time I was like, okay, did everything a lot easier, a lot quicker. So I got to about the same place in about 50 hours. And then eventually got the gold chocobo and all that. So,
So in your Resident Evil book, I have to ask this. Did you mention the worst Resident Evil game? The game.com, tigergame.com version.
But
it's not out. It's not out till next year.
Yeah, well, I haven't finished the book, to be honest. I haven't.
Oh, there we go.
So no, I'm not sure if I have mentioned that yet. Obviously, so I'm obviously doing all the spin-offs and doing all the kind of I'm doing everything. But no, I have not, and I need to get some more info in. So
that is possibly the rarest Resident Evil, but also the worst by far. So
worse than Survivor.
We had a retro.
I say worse than Resident Evil Survivor.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it is dreadful.
Well, go back to handhelds. We had a retro battle about 5 episodes ago, Tom, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where we had all 3 of us on, and we all picked a handheld. It was the Atari Lynx, and we had to sell them to each other and the audience. I had the Atari Lynx. And then we had the Game Gear, which was Martin, and Tom had the Game Boy. Which do you think came last? Which do you think was given up on pretty quickly?
I think the Lynx may have been there.
Yeah.
I think brief mention in my book. Unfortunately, it's not a star of the show.
No, there wasn't much really I could sell other than it was colour, which of course the Game Gear had.
The Game Gear is a hidden gem for me. So I had the Game Gear and the Game Boy, and one of my favourite games on the Game Gear is Shinobi 2. Absolutely amazing game. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 as well was great. Streets of Rage 2. Lots of 2s. But obviously, so again, I go into kind of sales and all the numbers and kind of the history, promotion, all that kind of stuff. But I think off the top of my head, if I remember correctly, I think the Game Boy was like 189 million or something ridiculous like that. And the Game Gear only sold 10 million. Yeah. But it is an amazing piece of kit. It was just the fact, obviously, it required 6 AA batteries. It was just drained, right? I remember my old man, so I had the Game Boy ready. My old man got me a Game Gear, and my sister both got us a Game Gear for Christmas one year. And I had the game that came with it was the cartridge was like 4-in-1. It had like the soccer game, it had columns, had a tennis game, maybe a racing game. And I just remember spending hours playing columns and the tennis game. And oh man, I love the Game Gear. Again, it's nostalgia, right?
Was it Smash Court Tennis? No.
No. I think it was just like its own kind of packed in kind of thing. Super Smash TV now. If we get onto great games, Super Smash TV. Do you remember that?
Yes. The overhead.
Kind of like the Running Man, essentially.
Yeah, basically. I played that on my Steam Deck. Year ago. It was. You get to the last boss.
It's still really good.
Obviously, nowadays the thing is, I played Super Mario Land, and I remember having that on the Game Boy, and it taking me weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of playing constantly to complete it. I got it the Steam Deck with save states, hour and a half done.
Yeah.
But have you done the challenge we mentioned yet?
No. What did I have to do? I can't remember.
So the challenge on this, and this is something you may want to pick up on, Ty, is you have to complete it with 99 lives, maximum score. On the power-up levels in between, you have to get 3 lives every single one, or you have to start back at the beginning.
Wow.
And you have to get every single coin and every power-up.
That's it. What you'll get to know on the podcast, Tommy, is I am the easy level person nowadays. I love a good story, and I like to appreciate the story. And the From Software games, no thanks.
I love them. Punishment.
Well, I got a Steam Deck and I had access to Elden Ring, so I thought, tell you what, it's a great way of trying it because apparently it works really well. And I was like, as usual, you start off and there's a few skeletons in the cave. You're like, this isn't too bad. You walk out there, man on a giant horse, thunk, dead. What? Oh, okay then. I'll run out of that cave again, thunk, dead. Okay, I'm not going to go that way this time. Walk another way. Oh, look, there's some people. Oh, I've killed that one. Oh, somebody shot me with an arrow. Dead. I'm like, nope, this really isn't for me.
So the From Software games are Soulsborne, as they call it now. Yeah. I'm a big fan, so I got the original Demon's Souls. Not Demon's Souls, Demon's Souls. Apostrophe S. In 2009 when it came out. When it was obviously like an underdog. People were like, what is this? And it wasn't really until Dark Souls came out that people were going, okay, there's something here. And instantly I fell in love with it because apparently I'm a bit of a sucker for punishment. Whereas I feel like in those games, if you die, it's your fault. It's your mistake that you died. There's no kind of cheesing it. I don't think it's a skill.
No, they're programmed and the programming is and it's designed so well. And that's the thing. It is me. I'm just crap at these games.
That's not what I'm saying.
Older age. But
I think obviously you got to have that time and dedication to be like, well, I hate losing. So I'm like, well, I'm going to now, if I know that I've messed up there, I'm going to do it again and I'm going to make sure I don't do that. And some people, they'll watch me play or certain games, they're like, how can you do this? But it just comes down, like when I make music as well, right? And so when I'm editing and producing my music, I'll listen to the same bit of music over and over and over again, and I'm just tweaking it. And so I love that kind of attention to detail and stuff. Yeah. So for Souls games, lovely.
Yeah, but they're very good at world creating, at making it the play. Yeah, getting the timing is like a pattern. It's like a dance. It's just that I'm crap at it. I mean, go back 20 years, and I bet you if I was playing Elden Ring 20 years ago, I probably would have gone, okay, this is good kind of thing. But I mean, nowadays, I don't know if you've seen, there's a meme been going around for years now, and it just says, I wish every game had a dad or parent mode. That every time if it's been more than 2 days since you played it went, this is how you play the game.
This is where you're at. Here's the controls.
Yeah, there's so many games, like No Man's Sky. I'm desperate to play No Man's Sky like as it's meant to be, but I just can't, because every time I go back to it, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing, because I've had like 3 weeks when I haven't played it.
If you ever get a chance to do it in VR, do it. It's amazing.
Oh,
It's so good.
Yes, I've heard that that's good.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean that even in the creative mode or sandbox mode, whatever they call it, I went back to it after a week of, I was like, what am I meant to be doing now? And I was stuck in a galaxy on creative mode. I'm like, okay, this is really embarrassing. And most of these complicated games nowadays, give me a story-based game like the Dark Anthology games, or your Final Fantasies. But then they've made them all really complicated nowadays.
Did you play Plague's Tale?
Yes,
that was good.
Yes, love that.
They are good story-based games.
Fantastic.
The classic, 15, 20 hours, beautiful storytelling, beautiful music. That one was on my list for a while. I think it was on PlayStation Plus, and I was like, right, I'm finally going to do it. And I was like, I'm so glad I did this. I did the first one, haven't done the second one yet.
Yeah, they're really bleak but pretty at the same time.
It's like,
here's a load of death, but it's really pretty backdrop.
So is there one handheld that you don't own that you would really love to own but never have?
Okay, that's quite a good question. So I never actually owned a 3DS or a 2DS.
Okay.
So even though obviously I've covered them in the book, done my research, obviously I played them, and obviously there's a lot of research going involved. And in fact, actually, there's a 2DS on the cover. I never owned them, and so Nintendo, they are the gods of handhelds, right? They have this. They won. Others have tried, but unfortunately, I never had one of them. So it would be nice to actually have a go on a proper, 2DS properly. I think.
Yeah, the XL was brilliant, and they did the Super Nintendo special of the 3DS XL, and that was brilliant because the screen was so big you could make the most of the 3D on it. That was really good. But I always wanted to own a Sega Nomad. That was one I always wanted.
Yes, yeah, nice.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, technically, the idea, I think, of a portable Mega Drive was good, but the actual thing wasn't particularly great, though, was it?
It's the batteries again.
It gets a quick mention in the book. A very quick mention, like a sentence. But do you know what I think? Sorry.
No, go for it.
I was going to say about, obviously you're saying which ones to own, but I was going to go on to about underrated ones.
Yeah.
So one that I think is underrated and isn't that old, only 2012, you're not going to say now probably.
Vita?
It's the PS Vita. It's the Vita. So I started playing my Vita again this year, about a month ago. I plugged it in, I charged it up, I was like, oh, I forgot I had the charger lead for this. Plugged it in, found it all, went off, the touchscreen will work, touchpad. And it was so ahead of its time. And I just wish Sony tend to do this thing where they'll just kind of, people say they kind of stop supporting the VR and all that stuff. But the Vita was such a powerhouse at the time.
Yeah.
And still kind of is.
Yeah, I mean, I got mine out and charged it, and how can I put it? I have access to a lot of games now.
Ah, okay. So no, mine still has just access to the ones on the store.
Yeah. So
he legally hacked the crap out of it. What he's trying to say.
Yeah. So, but I owned. What did I own? I owned FIFA, but Little Big Planet. I mean, it was at the time when you could only get Little Big Planet on PS3, and to have it on the handheld, and you had all this community built levels. I still remember there was a Final Fantasy one, and it was the whole story in a 10-minute level. That's of Final Fantasy VII on Little Big Planet.
And so Uncharted Golden Abyss.
Yes, that as well. Yeah.
I mean, I love Nathan Drake. He's a suave, kind of cocky character. I would like to think I am, but I'm probably not. But again, that's at the time as well. You're like, oh my god, I'm getting PS3 graphics on a handheld. What's going on? obviously look at it now, okay, it's a bit dated, but the technology and stuff in it, I was playing it the other day and I was like, this could still be a hit now. If they just tweak this, okay, they put the PlayStation Portal come out, which I haven't got. But yeah, I think the Vita was let down by the support of Sony, and I wish it had a better lifespan because it's amazing. The PSP was phenomenal, right? Everyone loves playing SSX on that.
Yeah.
But the Vita,
It was. It's
really
such,
good.
and the fact that it was touchscreen, it was an OLED as well, wasn't it?
The screen's beautiful.
I turned it on, and obviously I had. I thought I had rose tinted specs with how good that screen was, and how good the technology was, and how powerful for the time it was. And
I think it's brighter than the Steam Deck. Wow. I think it actually goes brighter than the Steam Deck.
Yeah, and one that I played when I rediscovered it was Tearaway, and it was like Astrobot in the way that they used the hardware so well. You know that you had to use the back touchpad to make platforms appear on the out of the screen kind of thing, or you had to rip away things on the touch screen. It's absolutely brilliant.
It also had Skype built in as well. When it was first released, it had Skype, and you could just chat to your friends.
Yeah, because it had a 3G version, didn't it?
Yeah, it's one I've actually got, but I love it.
There we go, showing us screen with some full colour pictures.
I have to give a shout out for the photos. There was a couple of chaps on my Instagram who were in my Gamer Tag stories, and some of them weren't. I just met them over the last couple of years because that's like I've got my own personal Instagram and I've got my gaming one. A lot of people submitted photos to be in this book, and I wouldn't be able to do it without them. So thank you very much to them. Their photos are phenomenal. All the pictures of the in-game stuff is my own. But then pretty much everything of the console in this book is credited to the people who did it. Killzone Mercenary. No, that was a good game.
That was great.
I haven't actually played that one because I've only got a 16 gig card in there. Now I can put you can get adapters now to make SD cards into the Vita card. But I haven't bothered to do that. So all this software and all this kind of thing takes up about 4 gigabytes. So you're only left with a few gig. And
I can't remember if it was
7 gig.
I can't remember if it was the original PSP or the Vita, but the Killzone on one of them had such a unique view to it. It was, it was kind of like that.
No, I think that's so good. I should know because I've done a book on
it. but then for all the good ones, there was also the Call of Duty declassified of the world.
There was a really good zombie game on.
But it had things that I played Octodad on it, and it was probably the best way of playing it I found of all the versions because I played that on PC, Xbox, and something else. Can't remember. So I played like 3 or 4 different versions, and it was easily the easiest to control. I loved it.
The original PSP had a zombie game on it where you could infect. I think it was called Infected, and you would get infected, and then your virus would travel around the globe on this map, and then you could heal yourself and become a person again. But if you didn't heal yourself, you went from being a person to a zombie, and then you would go around, and it had this massive multiplayer game of 300-400 people, and it was really, really, ahead of its time.
On the original PSP.
That was on the original PSP. Yeah, fantastic game.
I know on the Vita, people are still playing Helldivers 1 because I opened that up, and there was like about 20 games all going on. People were still playing on it. So obviously that is a problem that you get with some of the older ones that are connected to the internet, is that a lot of games are, no, you can't play that online. And luckily, I think Vita was back in the day when they were still playable online. So hopefully, when we are going to get, I suppose we could talk about that as well, the future of handhelds. Where hopefully we won't get ones that are purely digital, and then we don't get to play our games in 10 years' time. Because it's great going back. I mean, I love it. But we talk about handhelds a lot on this podcast because we basically think they're the future. In some way or form, because we got the Switch 2 coming out.
Did anyone pre-order one?
I haven't pre-ordered one, but I played it. I went to the experience. I went to the experience in London.
Nice.
I didn't actually get tickets. Martin did. Martin, who lives across the country, he got tickets, and yet me and Tom, who both live near London, didn't. And luckily for me, Martin couldn't go, and I could. So I went and I may have had a few drinks. So I asked a group that I moderate for stupid questions to ask the helpers. So I was asking things like, can I play underwater? And can I take? There was one dummy unit that you could take the magnets off, and I asked if I could take a left one home because I always break the left one.
And I expected that.
And just most of the time, the stupid question. Well, what was another? I don't know, but I was asking really stupid questions, and most of the time they were just like, "Ugh, I'm so done with this." but no, it was great. So we got Switch 2, and we've got an Xbox, an Asus handheld that's coming out that's going to be Xbox branded, right. And then maybe in a couple of years an actual Microsoft Xbox handheld. Where do you think the future of handhelds is going?
Well,
or what do you hope?
There'll definitely be a Steam Deck 2. That will happen, and it's going to be inevitable. The how popular the Steam Deck has been, and obviously, on the Linux system as well, and how it's supported. The OS is amazing. That's still got life in it, and so for me, I think it's still such a powerhouse. It's one of the oldest in this kind of generation handhelds. But it's still the top dog, right? It's Steam. You're not going to get any better than Steam. Yeah. So I do think, like you were saying, unfortunately, I think the future holds good things and bad things. I think it will go all digital, as many of them are going now. It's just the world we live in. It's cost. It's all that kind of stuff. I
don't mind digital games or downloads and stuff because people can back them up. Exactly. It's just obviously you got things like The Crew that has shut down and now you can't play it.
So that's always a pain. I think there might be more integration of kind of, and they tried this on the Vita as well, but like augmented reality as well as virtual reality. So do you remember you could do
the fighter game?
Yeah, and there's like a dinosaur or something. You could kind of or a truck or something. But I think the integration, especially with I think there might be a hybrid crossover, like you've got the Ray-Ban Meta glasses and the Oculus, but all this stuff, you might have a handheld and glasses and maybe able to do stuff in the real world, which would be crazy. Imagine Pokemon Go, where you're wearing the glasses and you can actually feel like you're there and see them, but then you're doing something with the handheld. The great thing about it is I think if we went back 25 years ago, which doesn't seem that long. 2000 does not seem that long ago, does it? It's showing our age, everybody. And we said, where do you think handheld gaming will be in 25 years? We wouldn't think of how good they are now. We wouldn't be able to. I don't think I'd even be able to comprehend what we have now back then. But obviously now we have it. You can kind of go, okay, so where are we going to go? More virtual reality based things. Almost imagine some kind of hologram. Where it comes out. And
if you right now, myself and you are both wearing glasses here, and you're just sitting, in a meeting or you're walking along the street or something, and you're like, do you know what? I fancy playing Cyberpunk. And you could just walk along the street and have Cyberpunk playing while you can still see, and you're walking along or you're sitting in a meeting. Obviously, there'll be some people that probably watch. It's like you're in a meeting with Dave. You're like, Dave, what are you doing? He's putting his hand somewhere. And you're like, no, Dave, you're in a meeting. But equally,
I used to actually on Google Glass.
God, you didn't.
I used to I used to play. Do you remember Star Trek Next Generation with the game that they used to play?
Like the chess on different levels.
Yeah, they had that on Google Glass, and you could sit there and play it. And many a lunch break wasted. But it starting point of smart glasses, really, wasn't it?
So I have, in fact, last week I got myself a pair of Ray-Ban Metas. So
cool.
which I was running around the woods today with, filming and talking to the AI and all that. And there's a leak happened that they're actually releasing a new model. So they've been out for a while, a year and a half, maybe not as long in England. This will get back to gaming, but they're releasing a second model, which are going to be maybe about £1,000 more than the ones they currently have, because they're going to have a built-in screen in the lens, in the right lens, which will show you, again, augmented reality will show you your directions of where you're going, or if you need to, or and remember that Minority Report where you could pinch and do all the stuff. I think the new Apple
Vision Pro,
goggles, they do it now already. I'm not a massive Apple fan, unfortunately, so I don't know much about it.
Neither are we.
Neither are we, don't worry.
Perfect. But I think that will get integrated into gaming massively. Again, and handheld may move from you're not actually having a handheld; it's on your face. It's a pair of glasses, and then you're just using your hands. That will be the new handheld.
The next model, the Meta glasses, code name is Hypernova, and apparently around about September, October time. But like you said, $1,000.
Basic. I think they were about 1,400.
Really?
They had a thing, didn't they, where they showed the puck off that you'd have in your pocket, didn't they?
Oh, with the Neuralink wristband.
Yeah, with the Neuralink.
That's due this year as well, apparently.
I need to sell a lot of books to buy all this technology, by the way, guys. I'll get myself a sugar mama. I need one of these.
I know, it's just a problem. Yeah, there's so much. I remember my Steam Deck, I used Microsoft Rewards because they actually give you you could get Amazon credit, which I used Amazon credit to buy Steam credit to put on my account, and in the end I got £110 off it.
Oh, wow.
But that's how desperate. I got a launch date once, so I'd locked in I got it. Well, I was in the queue. I was about a month after it released, something like that.
So I got mine, and then a week or 2 weeks later, they announced the OLED one and kind of released that almost like a shadow drop. And we're like, oh, by the way, the OLED one's out now. Or no, it had already been announced, but they hadn't said when it was coming out. And then I got one, and then they're like, oh.
So there's so many games on it though. I remember playing Red Dead Redemption 2 on it, and just I've been playing for nearly 40 years, and just my jaw just dropped. This is in my hands, and I'm looking at this beautiful vista with like horse testicles and stuff, and it is like one of these moments where you go, "What a time to be alive!"
Exactly. Do you know what though? So for my Steam Deck, this is where it's kind of weird. Obviously, you can play all that stuff, Cyberpunk or Red Dead Redemption. But I was playing Vampire Survivors and Potato and Dave the Diver. I was using it for an emulation.
I think I've bigged up Emu Deck so many times.
But I wasn't really using it to play those type of games because I knew it would drain the battery incredibly quick. And then I was like, well, I can just go I've got an MSI gaming laptop or I've got my PS5, and I'm like, well, I'll just play the powerhouse games. I mean, it's still fantastic and amazing that you could play it on that. But for me personally, I was I'm going to play Broken Potato.
Totally the same. I'm totally the same. I don't think I've uninstalled Vampire Survivors since I've had it, the Steam Deck. And my favourite thing at the moment, actually, is to just stream from my Xbox because the battery will last about 8 hours because it's basically video. It's video.
My son only plays Ark, Survival, and Minecraft. That's all he plays on his Steam Deck. It's so wasted. So I just steal it now. I just steal it. That's it. And I've installed stuff on it. So he hates me for it. Going back to the book, I think I'm intrigued about your writing and your ideas. And I think I'm looking forward to maybe having you back to talk about your new books as they come out. But and Duncan, maybe you can answer this as well. So for me, I think there's a lot of missing books about gaming that haven't been done yet. For instance, I would love to see a book on the micro scene of the 80s in the UK, interviewing like the distributors, the the developers, the bedroom developers, all those people that were running game stores back then that are just sitting there with all this knowledge. We spoke to Gary Bracey, who said, the stuff I know and cannot share. And,
there's no book on it.
Well, exactly. I offered to write it for him. He refused. I think for me, that would be a book that's missing. But
it was a lot more rock and roll back then, though, wasn't it?
It was Ferraris and many other things. But what's one book, if you could write your own dream book, if there was no limit to what you could do?
I'm going to guess it's Final Fantasy VII.
I'm gaming, you mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what? And I don't want to sound cocksure or like I've done it. I think it's Gamer Tag Stories. So the thing for me, so it started just quickly again on that side. I wrote the book during furlough in 2020. Really quickly, I was like, once I start kind of doing something, I'm on it. I came up with the idea of it in September 2019. I was playing Apex Legends, which I still play to this day. Not as much, but that people give battle royales a bad name. But I've got a good crew. I've made some good friends, and the thing I really like about online gaming is, even though obviously the core concept is the same, because you're playing other humans, it's never the same. You don't know what's going to happen. So for me, since Counter-Strike 1.6, that's always been really fantastic in my brain. So I do enjoy that. Anyway, I saw somebody's username, and I was like, it just made me laugh, like actually out loud, and it stopped me in my tracks. And I was like, oh my God, what were they thinking? What is the story behind that username? And a light bulb went off in my head. I was like, dude, you've got something there. So I had a look. Books on history of gamer tags. Nothing. And so I'm really, really proud of that book. And what I essentially want to do is that's Gamer Tag Stories. And I've even called it Gamer Tag Stories Level 1, because the whole concept was I'm going to do a Level 2. And I was going to, hopefully, if that got traction, then other people will be like, hey, I want to be a Level 2. And you can kind of, and then I was like, I can turn this into a series. I can do a Gamer Tag Stories about esports teams. How did all of they come up with their names? And I could do famous people who game. How did they come up with their name? It's like longevity, and people would want that book. So it sounds like I really, personally, I feel like I struck gold. I mean, I haven't sold lots of copies of it, but I'm so proud of that book, because that was, it takes a lot to get a publishing deal, and that was the catalyst for me getting to where I am now. Yeah. But I wish more people knew about it, because I still can't see anything.
Well, they'll know about it now because we'll promote it.
Yep.
So, and we're going to read it. I'm definitely going to read that one. I mean, Duncan, I know what mine was, but what was your gamer tag back in the day?
Well, my gamer tag since Xbox 360 has been the same. Now, I bought it with a friend of mine, and his surname was Francis, and mine is Nash. So we were Nashers because we shared the cost. And when we eventually separated, like he went off and I went off, I bought him out of the Xbox, and I was like, "Can I buy you out of all the stuff?" Because I bought the DLC for things and he hadn't. So I was like, "Can I keep the username?" And I mean, it gives you memories, doesn't it? Well, as long as you haven't got something, 15-year-olds, you just want to smack them around the face and go, pick something that's not stupid or rude.
So this is the great thing about the book. When I first originally did it, I was like, anybody can be in it. It doesn't matter what your gamer tag is. So there's one that's really heartfelt. This guy, he almost died essentially. This doctor, his name was like I think his username is like Hades 616 or something like that. So there's a thing about death and Hades and all that stuff. And he must have died, and he was in hospital. And this doctor said, "Look, when you're better, I'll buy you a PlayStation 3." And he thought nothing of it. He thought the guy was just kind of like helping him to get better. And then he got better, and the guy bought him a PlayStation 3, and they kind of had this relationship, and he used that name because that's something they used to talk about. And I was like, that's the reason I wrote this book. That's such a nice thing. And then one of my favorite ones in the book is one line long. His name is B Game A Lot. And I was like, okay.
That's so cool.
And my name's Brian, and I game a lot. That's it. That's the whole entry in his book.
I love it.
He game a lot. Brian game a lot. And I was like, all right, cool. And so you get these ones like pages and
drop the mic.
Yeah. You get all kinds of stuff now. So really proud of that. Tom,
My one back in the day was Kingdom Master, because I used to play a lot of Battle for Middle Earth, the Lord of the Rings game, and I love that game. I still play it now. Me and a friend play it, and we play for hours.
Was the first one or second one?
Well, both, but mostly it's the second now.
Okay.
Yeah, so we still play to this day for hours on end. And yeah, mine was Kingdom Master. I don't know what his was. But more recently, my gamer tag is Retro Gamer. And whenever a new platform comes out, I jump on and nick the name. Yeah.
And
so
this is the thing with more and more gamers every day, getting a name without X's or numbers or underscores, getting a short few letter name is getting hard. So I've had mine since PSN launched. So in October 2006, you could register your name for the 23rd of March release 2007. Sorry. So I remember logging on, but right, I'm going to get my hands. My name is 5 letters and there's no numbers, there's nothing, and I managed to get it. You're on about rude names earlier, Duncan. You're like, oh, great. What's his name?
I want to hear it.
Well, so I will give you mine now. Originally, from about 99 until 2006, so when I started playing Counter-Strike, and then before I moved on to PlayStation, my name was Spunkmeyer because... No. Wait a minute. Because I had a love for...
we can leave it there. Right, that's the end of the podcast.
I had a love for Spunkmeyer muffins, delicious muffins. And one of my favourite films, in fact, my favourite film, level with another film, is Aliens. And there's a character in that called Spunkmeyer, very bit part, tiny character, that is one of the pilots. And I was just like, Spunkmeyer muffins, my favourite film. I was like, cool, wicked, So I used that for 7 years. Came around to 2006, needed to have something else. I was like, kind of spunk in my name. And I was like, what's something similar? It gives the same understanding, but it calls back to my original name. So my name now, and has been for nearly 20 years, is Spuff, Spuff. That's it. My name is Spuff. And so for me, I don't see that as a word. Some people were like, what's Spuff? And then you're like, But I don't, that doesn't even cross my mind now. For me, if I see Spuff, it's just my gamer tag.
So when there's a new platform, do you race on there to try to grab that before somebody else does? Even if it's unusual, because I remember when Nintendo first went, you could reserve a name. I went on there and reserved all the names that I use.
It's going to sound kind of bad, and I'm not a Sony fanboy, but since then, apart from PC, it's just kind of been PC and PlayStation for me. I got an Xbox Series S, and unfortunately it wasn't available, so I think it's like Tommy K 1985 or something. Really original. My name and my year. But I'm kind of glad that I've had that name for like 20 years, essentially.
Yeah. They give a good, really good nostalgia of the story, and that's the book, isn't it, that you've written? That's really good.
So when can we expect the new books out, just to finish?
The new books, so the answer to that is yes.
when they're finished.
Yeah, so the plan is that the history of Resident Evil, which I'm really excited for. So that's the one for me. That's I love the history of handheld games, so don't get me wrong. I'm very, very happy and proud of that book. Yeah. But Resident Evil has because I'm so into that series. And I've managed to get, like I said, some people in the gaming world within Resident Evil, quite well-known people, I don't want to spoil it or say now, to be in that book. So I think there's going to be a bit more backing for that one. That will be about this time next year, I would say.
Okay.
Cool. Maybe towards the end of the year. And then Final Fantasy VII, I haven't even started researching it. I mean, I know my stuff about Final Fantasy VII, but I'm like, so how it works for me is I'll finish a manuscript, I'll submit that to the publisher.
Yeah.
They'll come, so I'm focusing on harnessing the Resident Evil book now. But it's normally after I submitted this end of February last year, and it took a year before it came out.
Well, we're really excited to review it. So
I do like it.
Yeah, and it will be hopefully next episode. We'll be posting all the links in the episode description, guys. So the history of handheld game consoles. Check it out on Amazon, and we'll post all the links.
Pen and Sword publishers.
Pen and Sword, the publisher. It's an imprint of Pen and Sword called White Owl Books. So they are Pen and Sword, but they kind of focus more on the kind of gaming side.
Yeah,
So
and
no sword or. So.
the reviews so far that I've seen and the comments from people have been really enthusiastic. And I know Facebook's getting lots of ads for the book, and you can see all the comments below, and everyone's really excited. So hopefully, it's a thing to look
when
out for.
we get our copy, we will give
it's
you.
It's just one silly man's opinion, and so that's what again. It's all subjective. You've got to take it. It's like okay, not everyone will agree that that's the best game. But the numbers and so I like all the technical stuff, like the spec under the hood of each console.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's a brief on each of those. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. I really hope you like it.
Yeah, no, great. We can't wait to read it. So like, subscribe, and check out our Facebook page and our Instagram. And if you've got any comments about the book, if you've read the book, do let us know what you think. Maybe you'll beat us to it.
Well,
And
yeah,
we'll be
on
talking.
that note, thank you very much, Tommy.
Thanks
And
for having me.
we will see you in episode 93
For our second episode of Handheld Gaming.
Yep. And on that note, bye.
Bye.
Bye.